Howdy, Joe here, and pleasure to be here. Uh, I've got kind of so much to say. It's like a geyser or a torrent, and but sentences come one word at a time, and it's rather difficult to put a torrent through one word at a time. So, um, I've got a little device to help. uh, an egg timer set for 15 minutes, and I'm going to try and cut something big down into small pieces and go just one step at a time. And the backdrop here, uh, I'm a bit of a photographer, and this is a picture of how light plays with water. And it got golds and bronze and copper and a bit of grays and greens and like a hunk of the spectrum between the red bright copper and the copper oxide green of pale green. And that's a cute part of the spectrum, but it's also a reminder of the whole spectrum. There's 1,000 other colors all in play, dancing. And that's a reminder there's a difference between photography and movies is this is a still and movies move. And the still is a truth for a moment, and it allows us to look a bit closer and seeing the dance between water, air, and light, and and the observer and the observed. Um, there's a oodles of fascinating material here. But part of the reason it's here is I'm disabled. You may have noticed I'm in a wheelchair, and and so that means I've got medical equipment and clutter and distractions behind me. And so that's just a screen from some distraction to help clarify, simplify. Um, gee, and this being the first piece, I'm gonna, I've got some ideas to present, and it takes thought to figure out how to serve a portion. And so I'm gonna cue up a bit of script in the background. Give me a moment. It's an old script. You may have heard it before. I'm gonna give it a go and then maybe add some qualifications and reservations and that's what they say and here's what I say kind of thing. Okay. This is from the commercial. I am Canadian. And it starts by, hey, I'm not a lumberjack or a fur trader, and I don't live in an igloo or eat blubber or own a dog sled. And I don't know Jimmy, Sally, or Susie from Canada, although I'm certain they are really, really nice. I have a prime minister, not a president. I speak English and French, not American, and I pronounce it about, not about. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peacekeeping, not policing, diversity, not assimilation, and that the beaver is a truly proud and noble animal. A toque is a hat. A Chesterfield is a couch. And it's pronounced Zed, not Z. Zed. Ha! Canada is the second largest landmass, the first nation of hockey, and the best part of North America. My name is Joe, and I am a Canadian. And isn't that a lovely piece of script? And it's a much more vigorous presentation in the commercial from an actor named Mike. And so his name's Mike, actually, but he's presenting a script, a character as an actor. Me, my name is Joe. And while I'm I I have been many, many, many things in my life, and I have been an actor several times, but most of my career is haphazard and elsewhere. And sometimes I'm an actor of not presenting a story, but as acting in the world, learning to be effective, to act, make oneself useful, you know? I've got a few other reservations on the script. Uh, let's see. Lumberjack. Um, One of my favorite bits of comedy is I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. And a cartoon I'll play on occasion is the lumberjack riding the river song from the NFB, National Film Board, uh, about logging and riding a river. Um, so he's not a lumberjack and he's not a fur trader. Um, yeah, fashions rise, fashions fall. Fur used to be a big ticket item, and it ain't no more because we're altering our relationship, the way that we view animals, not just the way we view them, but the way we view ourselves. And those things can change, as can fashion. I don't live in an igloo or eat blubber or own a dog sled. Okay, igloo, uh, a home made of snow and ice that shields you from the wind. It ain't just the cold, it's the wind that'll suck the heat out of your core. That wind can kill you. And building a dome that builds a hollow under the wind, a pocket of windlessness. It's delightful. And with managing how the air flows through the door, you can heat an igloo with your body. Anyway, I like domes, but I haven't ever been in an igloo. And I'm not a fur trader. And well, oh, blubber. There's 3 food groups: proteins, fat, and carbs. Those are the main meganutrients. Proteins are life necessity. Um, your muscles and your heart and your functioning is based on protein processes. The fat is long-term fuel, and the carbs are short-term fuel, of which many people interact with poorly. Did you know that proteins are essential nutrients, fats are essential nutrients, but carbohydrates are not essential nutrients? We got a noggin and we learned how to use it. Back to blubber. um, I don't like fats that have been processed so that they can't go rancid, so that they've got a shelf life. But hyperheating it makes it an aggravant. The fats I like, butter, maybe avocado. Um, but sometimes when I cook things like duck, I'll pour off the fat and use it in other recipes. So I know a bit about nutrition. And okay, I don't know Jimmy, Sally, or Susie from Canada, although I'm certain they're really, really nice. And it's uh it's a remarkable thing when you know that your fellow citizens lean toward the gracious and the civil and the hey, how can I help? Is a possibility, you know, rather than always being a problem or more and bigger problem. Um, and gee, that question said that statement kind of asks, what is nice? Okay. I have a prime minister, not a president. It's a different political system. Um, and parliamentary democracy is a bit different from a republic, which is quite a bit different from a tyranny. And totalitarianness, agglomerations can be both hard to talk to and hard to deal with, and struggle with the lack of clarity that their systems compel. Um, I speak English and French, not American, and I pronounce it about, not about. Uh, but I speak the language of Shakespeare, and I'm not fully bilingual. But I do know a bit of French. Je parle français un petit peu, mais not enough with which to carry a conversation. Um, and I know some bad words, and I know uh, a passel of odd bits of detail. Um, might I make a Canadian moment in a conversation? Uh, hey, I'm a citizen of Canada, and we're bilingual, but we're not very good at it sometimes, but we aspire to be better. And there's a whole bunch of things about us that are like unmentioned and like lover's secrets kind of thing. And one of my lover's secrets is I can see a face on the map, and it's in northern Quebec, Hudson Bay, and it's a cameo of a woman with long hair blowing in the western wind. And she's looking west and being gorgeous and kind. And I feel her concern and affection. And that's a kind of ballast for me, you know? Sometimes you need a bit of weight to keep the ship afloat. Uh, but as I say, I don't speak French very well, but I do speak a few things, and that calls up another script. I got a cue in the background. Um, it's like when you have too much to say, what do you start with? And that face on the globe, Quebec, northern Quebec, looking west, a woman with a prominent nose, big smile, sometimes, but her hair is kind of longish and billowing in the wind. And I call her Belle Fleur, uh, just because the fleur de lis and Belle, and it, for me it fits. And I've actually been using that myself before Beauty and the Beast, an obvious reference. And startling how many connections that brings in, like I'm an odd bird. I mentioned I mentioned alcoholism. Gosh, uh, actually it's startling. I do the Molson Canadian script and not mention I'm an alcoholic and I'm half a lifetime sober. And I come from an alcoholic family with multiple pathologies, tragedies, and what modes of insanity. And that can be a grim area to grow up in. And I've got multiple disabilities. And on top of that, I'm a fairy. I'm gay. And not exactly perhaps the most romantically appealing possible partner. So this is maybe entirely imaginary, but even so, it has some beauty and maybe more truth than one might guess. So with that, a song in French I heard on the breeze years and years ago. What's it dated? Maybe 72. The song is Harmonium by a band named Harmonium. And there we go, the phone. So give me a bit. Maybe rather than full French, full English, I'll do line by line, French and the English. Just for the pleasure of tasting the word. You ever taste words? So the song's called Harmonium. Here it is. Imagine, imagine. Prenons, musicien, ben a man, musician. Viens voir si je suis vivant. Come to see if I'm alive. Charged par ses mille instruments. Charged by his thousand instruments. Il y en avait une pour moi, justement. There was one for me, exactly. Il est entré, he entered. sans rien me dire, without telling me anything. L'encre s'est mise à couler. The ink started to flow. Dans ma tête et sur le papier, in my head and on an old paper. Il m'a dit de vous dire, he told me to tell you, qu'il n'y a plus rien à dire, that there is nothing more to say. Il m'a dit de vous dire, he told me to tell you, d'écouter, to listen, d'écouter, le silence, to listen to the silence. Qui voudrait bien reprendre? Who would like to take over? Sa place dans la balance, the place in the balance. S'y remettra au monde, getting back into the world. A chaque second, every second. Imaginez, imagine que nos musiciens, the man, musician. Je désire des autres temps. Play tunes from other times. Délivrant son corps de ses talents. Delivering his body of its talent. Il a pu faire de moi. He could make me son enfant. God. He smiles at me. Il m'a souri. Il m'a souri. Ça m'a fait rire. It made me laugh. I was joy. On a joué quelques instants. We played for a few moments. S'amusant avec les harmonies. Having fun with the harmony. He told me to tell you. Il m'a dit de vous dire. Il n'y a plus rien à dire. That there is nothing more to say. Il m'a dit de vous dire. He told me to tell you. D'écouter, to listen. D'écouter le silence. To listen to the silence. Qui voudrait bien reprendre? Who would like to take over. Ça part dans la balance. It's placed in the balance. À chaque second, every second. So many ripples of meaning and relationship, and words. And a reminder that music has a silence behind it. It's big. As big as ocean. And maybe we ought to notice that. Um, so being a Canadian is bigger than it looks. And there's so many relationships and care and beauty. Oh, a collecting thoughts and focused pause. Before moving on to the next topic, I wanted to underline um, why I would remember such an odd detail out of a Maelstrom of Living. Why would this song pop? And it's actually not just the horn at the end that gave me an unforgettable thrill. And the harmony of the voices and the joy in that harmony. Um, uh, the beauty of the tune reached deep inside, and like for me, that song is an auditory orgasm. Um, I've had much delight and joy in how the passion and connection. I don't know the right way to say it, but Bill Flair, sometimes you cream my jeans. And that's kind of nifty. And I'm more than glad that you're alive. And to suggest a song from me to you, the one that comes to mind at the moment is another great favorite on my permanent playlist, The Song of the Wind by Santana. And I'm disabled, uh, but I've got a noggin and I've got numerous other abilities. Disabled is a stupid word. It only notices what's lacking, not what's there. Um, I'm not at all ill at ease with words like crippled or a bit of a gimp or I just can't walk. I'm a wheelie person, you know? But all that, what was the point I was chasing for that? I'm a tad odd, but also very regular, bit of a character. And I love you, and I've got some work to do. Um, so time to be of service or of benefit or of use. Amen. Before leaving that point, maybe trying to phrase it a bit better. You sent me a song in the breeze years ago, and I sent you a bit of wind to caress your hair. And kind of beautiful. I'd actually like to mass produce the cameo of Quebec as a brooch, as a little token of affection. And it's included by the maple leaf kind of thing, along with a bunch of other things. We simplify. And actually, considering all the other stuff going on, it's amazing I'm not flying the flag and actually wearing this blue. Uh, I don't need to fly my flag to know who I am. And the blood in my veins is red, and the snow in the Arctic is white. And I don't need to advertise every little thing. I can be myself. The thing is the word citizen goes back to Greece, of course, as many things do. And one of the things of a citizen is to speak up, state your truth, defend it, have a capacity to argue, and generate not just a community, but a coherent, an honesty that is corrected, reduces errors, and magnifies assets, skills, talent. Back to the note of affection, it's deep and wide, and not only do we share this atmospheric current of the westerly breeze at this latitude, and by way of which I am able to share a Pacific breeze with a compatriot thousands of kilometers away. In the Pacific, salt sea air is briny and has 1,000 whispers of where it's been and where it's going. And as I watch the water and the light, I watch the air and listen to what it mentions. And maybe send a load of it your way to rustle your hair. Gee, ain't it nice to have wealths that you don't have to walk away and be free? Uh, Gee, before getting into the politics and a longer, more rigorous discussion, I thought to include a Canadian tune that is about more about alcoholism. And also, I'm in recovery, and that gives me a perspective from learning how to be on the other side of a problem. And insights and solution can come from odd places. And okay, I'm going to cue up some background quote and then that. Well, uh, change your background because this song upcoming is set in the far north under the Northern Light, and it's about Canadian oil. Uh, there's a pipeline up north, Canadian oil, Canal, Canal Street, and Oil Street. And they dropped the I for canal. But there's a country song about it by Stan Rogers called Canal Road. It's about the people who live and work in these industries and live and die with these industries. And thing is I've got multiple talents, and this story opens up a mystery that invites a bit of digging, a mystery about life and death and money and theft and all sorts of stuff for a story. But for storytelling, maybe a song sets a hook to keep an interest alive enough to make it through some maybe duller chapters. So with that, here's some lyrics. Whoops. Gosh. Well, I went out to find the lyrics and I changed the background to the Northern Lights because it's kind of required for this song. And I went out to get the lyrics, and there's more than I had realized. In other words, this song has more verses than I knew. So some of this is new to me. So here goes. Canal Road by Stan Rogers. Well, you could see it in his eyes as they strained against the night, and the bone-white knuckled grip upon the road. 65 miles into town, and a winter's thirst to drown. A winter still with 2 months left to go. His eyes are too far open, his grin too hard and sore, his shoulders too far high to bring relief. But the Copper King is hot, even if the band is not. And it sure beats shooting whiskey jacks in trees. Then he laughs and says, "It didn't get me this time, not tonight. I wasn't screaming when I hit the floor." But his hands on the tabletop, their shaking never stop. Those hands sweep the bottles to the floor. Now he's a bear in a blood-red Mackinaw with hungry dogs at bay and springtime thunder in his sudden roar. With one wrong word, he turned, and the tables overturned. When he's finished, there's a dead man on the floor. Well, they watched him. They watched for him in Karnax, Haines, and Carcroft. With Teslin blocked, there's nowhere else to go. But he hit the four-wheel drive in Johnson's Crossing. Now he's 38 miles up the Canal Road. He's 38 miles up the Canal Road in the Salmon Range at 48 below. And there is the carriage. And I'm going to have to continue. Hello? Okay, come on out. So, interrupted, we'll set this to record and I'll pick up halfway through the tune. Ah, where the cops are watching for him on the highway. Okay, but that means this file goes to storage so that I can reach it